Hello, everybody. It's Cindy Greenway here from lawmarketing.com, and today we're talking about the 3 keys to getting better referrals. I'm here today with Stephen Fairley, who is the CEO of the Rainmaker Institute, the nation's largest law firm marketing company specializing in lead conversion for small to medium-sized law firms. And over 9,000 attorneys nationwide have benefited from learning and implementing the proven marketing and lead conversion strategies taught by the Rainmaker Institute. And for more information, you can go to the rainmakerblog.com. So Stephen, welcome and thank you for joining me here today.
Well, thank you, Cindy. I appreciate the opportunity to talk to you guys. And, there's a lot of good stuff we're going to be talking today about how to build a referral-based practice.
Great. Well, Stephen, I know that attorneys everywhere are always wanting to build more of a referral-based business or practice for themselves, but they don't know how to do it. And I know that you teach the nuts and the bolts of how to do it. So I'm really looking forward to hearing what you're going to share with us. What would you say is the #1 key strategy to getting better referrals for attorneys?
Very first strategy that I would talk about in building a referral-based practice is really to clarify who your ideal target market is. Because many attorneys, they have this vague notion about who their target market is, but they can't really clearly articulate it. So this last weekend, I was speaking at one of our 2-day law firm marketing seminars called the Rainmaker Retreat. And I asked people around the room, give me an example of who your ideal target market is. And a lady raised her hand, very tepidly, and she said, well, it's people who pay me money. And I said, well, hopefully, that's kind of like setting the bar really, really low, right? And we kind of, we joked about that a little bit in the group and whatnot, but for many attorneys, it doesn't really get a whole lot deeper than that, other than if they know that they're a B2B or a B2C, and some of them don't even know what that is. For those of you who are listening to this video, if you don't know what B2B and B2C is, it's business to business or business to consumer. Who's the individual? Is it an individual person or is it an individual company or executive that is your primary client? Hence B2C versus B2B. And if you don't know that minimal amount, then it's really hard to identify who your ideal target market is. But you've got to be able to clarify who that is and to clearly articulate that. It has to be more than just people who pay me money. You need to, if you're a B2C law firm, you need to talk about how old are they? Is there a gender difference? Like, are you doing a divorce just for men, or are you focusing just on females? Is there a specific age demographic that you're going at? Where do these people live? Do they have a certain profession or an industry that they're a part of? What's their average annual household income? What's this? Where are there specific neighborhoods? Are there specific websites that they look at? Are there places where they get centers of influence? Are they on social media? And if so, what kind of social networks are they on? If you're a business to business attorney, you want to look at things like, what's their annual revenues? How many employees do they have? What kind of industry are they in? Are they in high tech or manufacturing or telecommunications or what have you? Where are the companies located? What's the title or the position of the person who is most likely the decision maker in that company? This is just a real short list. In our Rainmaker Retreat, we talk about over 25 different characteristics that you need to be able to adequately articulate to identify who your ideal target market is. Now, people say, well, Stephen, that sounds kind of pedestrian. I'll tell you right now, it's not pedestrian. It's actually foundational to your entire marketing. If you don't know who your target market is, you will waste a lot of time and a lot of money on trying to find out where those people are so that you can target them effectively using marketing strategies.
Right. And I think I've spoken with some attorneys that have said that by picking a target market, they feel that they're limiting who they can work with in their practice, and completely the opposite. So great. Okay.
That's a really good statement, and I've heard that exact same critique before, right? Well, I don't want to limit the scope of my practice, and I get it that you want to cast a wide net and hoping and praying that people will fall into the net, because you know that not everybody that falls into your net is actually going to end up to be a client, a paying client. What I teach you to do and what we teach our clients is to actually flip the funnel. I get it that you're trying to do that, but more often than not, if you were to look at the average attorney's practice, about 80+% of their revenues actually come from 1 or 2 practice areas or even 1 or 2 target markets. So what we do is we teach you how to market like a specialist. Once you get them in the door, if you want to practice in other areas, that's great. and then you can cross-educate them on the ways that on the other ways that your law firm can help them grow. But you really have to, it's not about limiting your marketing, it's about focusing in on who's most likely to hire you initially, repeatedly, and at the highest profit margin.
Exactly. Great. Lots of information there, Stephen. Tell us about key number 2 to getting great referrals.
So the very second step would be to identify who your ideal your ideal referral sources are. Now, for many people, they don't really dig very deep at this. They say, well, other attorneys. Well, other attorneys like who? For example, are we talking consumer law attorneys? And if so, are we talking bankruptcy attorneys or personal injury attorneys or marriage and divorce family lawyers, divorce attorneys? Or are we really focused on business to business? And if you're a business litigation attorney, many times your best referral sources can be transactional attorneys. But it goes deeper than just other attorneys who don't necessarily compete with you. There are actually 4 major categories that you need to look at in order to generate more referrals for your law firm. Number 1 is current clients. If you're not educating your current clients right now on who you are, who you help, and how you're distinctive from your competition, you're completely missing the boat. So you need to make sure that you focus in and have a game plan for targeting referrals from your current clients. Number 2 are former clients, clients that you've done business with 6 weeks, 6 months, or 6 years ago. If you don't keep in touch with them, how are they going to know who you serve? And maybe you've added a different practice area. Maybe you've added another attorney to your law firm. Maybe you're targeting a different niche now. You need to be able to educate them on a continual basis. Number 3 is other attorneys that don't compete with you. And number 4 is probably one of the most overlooked areas and has the most potential, and that's non-legal professionals, such as CPAs and financial advisors and marriage and family therapists and real estate brokers and all kinds of other professions out there that have a very similar target market to yours, but they just don't focus in on just the legal industry. And many times our clients have found that those are some of the best referral sources out there, not just other attorneys that don't compete with you.
Right. And I think, again, from what I'm hearing is that they're just touching the surface of the referral side of things and think, oh, that doesn't work, right? So they're not getting into those other steps that you've shared here. So, okay, and I know you've got one more step, so I want to make sure we get that in here. Stephen, what's step number 3 on
Step number 3? Yeah. You have to keep in touch. It's not enough to just go meet with someone for lunch and then they'll send you referrals for the rest of their career. It doesn't work like that. We all know this intuitively, right? Out of sight is out of mind.
Yeah.
But yet, how many of us actually practice that? One of the most cost-effective tools for keeping in touch over a long period of time with your referral sources is a monthly newsletter. A monthly newsletter can be a great tool to be able to send it out and an update or a status report or an interesting article or something of perceived value to those 4 groups of referral sources. And I got to tell you, very few attorneys out there actually do consistently send out a monthly newsletter, but it's one of the most cost-effective tools in your marketing toolbox. And so we highly recommend that you send something out on a regular, consistent basis once a month. Not once a quarter, not once a year. You've got to stay in front of these people every 4 to 6 weeks. Consistency is key to generating those repeat, recurring referrals.
Right. And I think the technology side of things and people get overwhelmed with that. You know, what am I going to write about? How am I going to do this and so on? And that's what the team is for, right? To make sure that that gets out on a consistent basis. So, Stephen, thanks so much. That was fantastic. Really great information for our community here. So for any of you that want to check out more about Stephen Fairley, you can check him out at therainmakerblog.com. And also on Twitter, you're at Stephen Fairley. So thanks again, Stephen. We'll talk to you again soon.
Thank you, Cindy.